just want to say this is a little bit more of a talky video. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Hey guys, and welcome to my very first video on my how to teen type stuff. So my first video is about my life and what I'm trying to do right now, which is get a cat. So this video is convince your parents to get you a cat. Yeah. So the first tip that I have is to do your research. Research is key because if they ask you questions, you need to answer those questions with good answers, solid answers. I've done my load of research on cats and specifically the type of cat that I want. So I'm pretty well educated by now, but make sure you do tons and tons of research. This can take anywhere from a week to a couple of days, depending on what type of cat you want, what type of breed, anything like that. How complicated it is to keep, and basically anything like that. So make sure you do your research. Tip number 2 that I have is to be persistent. I don't mean the type of persistent that will kill your parents and the type of persistence that will make them mad and want you to go away and go somewhere else, but the type of persistence that is like a daily routine, like every single day, at least you talk about it or like you bring it up in some way. Like sometimes they're just like, oh, you hear that? They want me to get a cat, you know? And sometimes it does annoy them, but just bringing it up is going to help. Like the constant routine of them hearing it over and over again, it might make them think about it a little bit more. My next tip is to make sure that, let's say you have all your research and you keep bringing it up, but nothing's working. Like they're not even asking about it, or it just hasn't come in like serious thought. Make sure that you make one of these. Sorry, it's kind of bad, but make yourself a pros and cons list. So you might want 2 lists of pros and cons, but the first pros and cons list should be about the cat or like your situation in getting a cat in general, and the pros and cons about getting the cat. The second pros and cons should be maybe about yourself. So any pros and cons that you have of getting the cat, not just like the cat in general. And that will make it very specific. And make sure that on the cons list that you have basically solutions to all the cons that need solutions. For example, some of the cons of mine was that it was expensive. Well, I had simple solutions to that, which is making other things that can be made so that you can save money. For example, toys. You can just make some simple toys and it will all be good. And another one is for my college, or there's no one to take care of it when I'm gone. Well, I've already thought about going to college near the house so that I would not have to move out. That was already in my mind before a cat. And for no one to take care of it when I'm gone, I have friends that can easily take care of my cat, or any cat sitter will do stuff like that. So make sure that you have solutions to your cons so that it doesn't trump your pros. Yes, the 4th tip that I have for you guys is to make sure that you thoroughly think this out. If you get whatever pet you're trying to get, for example, a cat, make sure that you know that you have the perfect circumstances for the cat to live in. And if you don't, then it's just maybe not time, or you can wait, or maybe you just won't be able to get one at all. But make sure that you live in a good area for whichever pet. You are not, maybe moving around if your pet can't move around a lot. Make sure that you don't get something too big of a responsibility for yourself, and make sure that you know yourself and that you actually want this pet. The 5th tip that I have is to make sure to point out some good qualities about yourself recently and just like over the days. Just make sure that you point out a lot of good qualities about yourself so that they are realizing that you are maybe really responsible, or that you have good grades or stuff like that. So if there's any things you can do to help around the house, maybe even do some extra studying to get your grades even higher than they are if you can. Do any of that because that will really, really help when they're deciding whether you're responsible enough or whether to get you a pet. The sixth tip that I have is to make sure that once you've done your research, you've kept bringing it up, and you know that you have a good area for it to stay in and the right circumstances and situation, make sure that this is the right time and also that you have the right expenses, because getting pets can be very expensive. Some pets are obviously more expensive than others, but it is just important anytime to make sure that pet that you get, you have enough money to support the pet. So you don't have to run low on anything, and you just make sure to do expenses and budgeting before getting a cat or any type of pet, and before deciding that you really, really, really want one. Make sure that you have the expenses and budgeting for the pet that you're getting. For example, a guinea pig and a horse are obviously there are so many different expenses for each. A guinea pig is obviously much cheaper than a horse, but just make sure that you have the right expenses for your pet. The seventh tip that I have is to make sure that once you're doing your research and everything like that, you also have, if you're really, really considering this on a very serious thought, make sure that you have face-to-face talks with your parents, guardians, whoever that you need to convince to get a pet, because that will help a lot when they're making the final decision. When you talk to them about all the pros and cons that you've written down, all the research you've done, how responsible you are, all of this will go great when you're talking to them face to face. And when the final decision comes, they will remember when you've done all of these things because you were talking to them. And once you're talking to them, make sure you keep talking to them, and that goes along with being persistent. My eighth tip is something a little bit more probably recommended than all of the others. This is mostly like your last resort type of thing. If nothing else works, make sure you write yourself a letter. And not for you, obviously, it's for your parents. And make sure that you write this letter with all of your heart into it. If you even have to, maybe you can take them down a little guilt trip like I happen to do. My letter was really about just how I've been feeling lately and just how I think a cat can improve how I've been feeling and just everything like that. So mostly my letter was about how I've been feeling, what I plan on doing in my future days, because that is some of the feedback that I got from my parents when I was talking to them. They wanted to know how this cat would correspond in my future plans, and a lot of my future plans aren't that big for the amount of time that my cat will live. They're not that big yet. So I think that it's the perfect amount of time that I should get the cat is around this time, but I needed to make sure that they knew that as well in my letter. Okay, so now that I've given you 8 great tips on how to convince your parents, let me give you some tips on finding some good and solid research. I recommend firstly going to YouTube and watching a whole bunch of videos on how to take care of the pet, or a lot of those videos on 10 things I wish I knew before I got my pet, and things like that, the certain type of pet that you want. Whatever it may be, I hope that you do lots of great research. There are tons of websites on where to find lots of great information on any type of pet, from cat, dog, horse, little things like mice. There's a whole bunch of variety of things that you can find. So make sure you go to all the great resources like YouTube, just a regular browser that you can find many websites on, and more. There's many things that you can find, so make sure that you take your time when doing your research before you have a face-to-face talk with your parents. Okay guys, that will be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that this gave you lots of great ideas to do, to talk to your parents and to convince them to get you a pet. This really helped me to convince my parents to get me a pet. And even now, I'm still doing lots of these things to convince them, but I'm pretty much have convinced them to get me a pet. We have made some deals, so don't be afraid if they say you can get a pet if. Go ahead and take that deal. It's the best shot that you have, so just take it and go ahead and grab it real quick, because you never know when they might go back on their word, because parents are parents and they will do what they do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped a lot. It certainly did help me doing these things, and this is real things that I did to convince my parents. So hopefully in a couple of months, I will have a new pet cat, but I will make sure to update you guys on that. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more if you want to see more content from this beautiful brown skin girl, then make sure that you keep on watching. Press the subscribe button down below. And if you guys have any problems that have been occurring in your teenager life, then make sure to comment them down below and just tell me, because I will definitely consider making a video on it. That's all. And make sure you hit up the like button, press that bell for notifications, because then you can know every time that I upload a video, which will hopefully be every Monday and every Friday. So that's 2 videos a week. And yep, I think that's it. Goodbye. I'm so happy. I'm so happy.